Good evening, everyone, and welcome to day 665, December the 20th, 2023. Welcome to all of you guys here tonight. Tonight, probably going to be one of the greatest things I've ever shared for 665 days, and I really believe that 100%. Now, I see the chat going there, and I did pin Rumble there. It's just proactive. I do not plan to leave YouTube at all unless YouTube removes me. But there are all kind of issues taking place. For example, huge streamer Warthog been removed, and this has been going on for almost 2 weeks now, 10 days, 2 weeks, and it's a serious problem. But the community coming together, working on it. I'm sending messages to our contacts there at Capitol Hill. Dr. Gertis is working on it. Everybody's working on it together. I just sent Warthog a message, and we'll talk more about that in a moment, and I'll show you that. So we appreciate you guys there. We're never going to give up. Look at here. Ricochet, you were in here a long time ago. 8 hours to wait. Yeah, it's going to be worth the wait tonight. I can't believe what I'm going to share, to be honest. Mark Sangam and Niels, welcome to you. My friend Irene S., welcome to you. Chuck Pinkham, as always, out there in San Jose, California. Nate Fody, Angie Kuhn, welcome to you. Thank you, Ricochet, for doing that. Andrea Schoaf, Ronnie Vranken, he's rumbling too. Beautiful. Carl Elwell, good evening from Vegas, baby. Carl, go find Jake. Get me connected. That's Carl's homework. Jeffrey Burnett, one of our moderators from California. Thank you. Pat Shove, welcome to you. Oleg Dobrobozhelovit, welcome. We in Ukraine already went through this 14, 15 years. Then most Ukrainian channels were banned for nothing. Now, pro-Ukrainian channels in the West passed through it. It's sad, but that's the reality. There's Dr. Gertis in here tonight. Welcome to you. 630,000 subscribers before they were removed, and he's referring to Warthog. So I want to do this, guys, on the fly. This is Warthog over on Rumble. And Dr. Gertis, welcome. We're going to have Dr. Gertis in here one night live when it's suitable and works out for him and me, and looking forward to that. He is an awesome man. Let's do this. This is Warthog's Rumble. So you'll see this icon here, Warthog Defense. Guys, it's worth the follow, and we need to do all we can. I've reached out to Victoria Sparks, they're the U.S. House Rep, and I did message Warthog. And Dr. Gertis, if you're still in here, would you please do me a favor and message Warthog and let him know that the message he got from me, I'm not some lunatic. Followed on Rumble, no videos there. No, I just set up my Rumble here just in case. So I don't know, but I think everyone's getting in that preventative mode. And that's just where we're at, guys. It's a little goofy right now. So, Smedley, welcome to you, sir. Paul Kiss, Slava Ukraina. Larry and Debbie Menninger down there in Texas. Carrie Dyer. Carol and I here from Nevada. Welcome to Nevada. Fody family checking in from Texas. Carl Green. Loved your time with Rick. Thank you for that, Carl. And you just wait. Thank you, Dr. Gertis. I appreciate that. Niels, welcome to you, sir. Dr. Gertis is on Rumble just in case too. Beautiful. Dr. Gertis, if you wouldn't mind, just put your link or just message it to me, however, and I'll make sure our whole community knows your channel there as well. Kay Bell, you got a hello to the professor. Thanks for all your work in support of Ukraine. Isn't it amazing how this community is coming together? Dr. Gertis is fantastic. Linda Cassio checking in from South Carolina. Welcome to you there. So thank you, guys. We're going to jump right into it tonight. And I'm telling you, it's madness what I'm going to show you tonight. I fell out of my chair, and I want to get to it really fast So we're going to go through the other stuff as well. Amy Roudabush, welcome to you. We've got the 5 on Rumble. Great. That means we can stream there. So I can always stream there at the same time. It doesn't matter. So here we go, guys. Here we go. We're going to talk with the front lines first, but we'll start here as always. And right now, quiet. About 45 minutes ago, Odessa, Mykolaiv, and Kherson were under air raid alert. But right now, we're all clear, and most likely that was drones. I can also tell you today that full Ukraine, I'm talking the entire nation, was lit up red a few times, meaning the entire nation was under air alarm due to the MiGs were in the air and potentially carrying Kinjals, which are the hypersonics, and we know all about that. So let's go to the front lines now. Couple of things I want to share with you here, and here comes another connection we have. I'm using Jonathan's map. I think it's the best, period, because of the multiple sources, and that would be ATP Geopolitics, whom we partner with now as well. And I think this is the best map. So I want to give you guys a reference now because Ukraine released some information today. Of course, that's not exact, but it gives us the basics of the shape of Ukraine. Now, Ukraine came out again today out of Kyiv, one of their military briefings. And over the last 10 days, I've showed you guys 2 different Ukrainian videos, translated, voiced over, subtitled, so that you could see how the ground commanders there in the north were talking about the incursions coming from Russia. Well, it's not stopping. So here you have the border of Russia along that's the border of Russia, by the way. This is not the border of Russia, just in case you were wondering. But a massive, and that's the word they used, a massive increase of the reconnaissance groups coming into Chernihiv Oblast, Sumy Oblast, and Kharkiv Oblast. So Ukraine is actually now having to deal with it. And unfortunately, that's a problem for Ukraine because we're losing a little bit on the front lines here. Up in the north, Kupiansk, we're good. The Siversk circle, we're good. But guys, here they come. This is new movement. And in general, Russia has taken about 2 kilometers of territory on the front lines, as Ukraine has had to move to more of a defensive position. This is the area we're worried about because this story is coming back into play. Here is, let me put the pencil on. Here's Bakhmut, as we know, and this front line here. And remember what I've told you, Ivanivsky, Chasiv Yar. And this movement right here, unfortunately, is coming this way along toward Chasiv Yar. And of course, they're also trying to push through Ivanivsky. Remember what I told you, the military, whether it's Ukraine or Russia, they move along the rivers. That's where the tree lines are, and that's where the villages are. So Chasiv Yar, we drop lots of aid there, supporting Ivanivsky and supporting this front line still for Bakhmut. And we really, as we've told you, need to hold on to Ivanivsky and Chasiv Yar. Why? The story doesn't change because this circle of power here, and it really is a circle of power, is, let me move this map up a little bit. Not that, this right here. Slavyansk, Kramatorsk, Druzhkivka, Konstantinivka, and the Circle Road. We're going to keep talking about this, and then the main road from Kharkiv to Donetsk. This Circle Road in these 4 urban areas. The population here totals probably 250K normal. Of course, it's less now, maybe 300K between all of these 4 places. They're basically one line of towns. And Kramatorsk is really big. Slavyansk is really big. Konstantinivka is medium, and Druzhkivka is the smallest. But for the war effort, Druzhkivka Very important place. I will not tell you why, just very important place. Very, very. That's no information that Russia doesn't know. Very important. So this circle here is vital. Now, I want to drop down. Actually, before I do that, we were talking about Bakhmut. Let me do this now. Got some new pictures out of Bakhmut. Do we need any words? Bakhmut. These are today or yesterday. Bakhmut. Bakhmut. You guys see the four-wheeled little vehicle there in the foreground of that picture? You have any guess what that is? I can tell you what it is, and I will. It's a sad picture right there. That's a baby stroller. That is a stroller for babies. Of course, it's been ransacked and destroyed along with everything else. But what a sad, sad picture right there. It's Bakhmut. Somebody's feeding that dog. So we'll see. Does anyone still live there? Yes. There are approximately 1,000 Ukrainians still living in Bakhmut. And of course, now they live under occupation. Yes, K-Bell, that's right. This is what liberation looks like. Skeg, it is sad, and welcome from Australia, my friend. What is the info on the Russian satellite tracking base and station in Crimea? Okay. I do not have the answer to that, Ricochet, but I've got a pen, and I will send a message and find out. Russian satellite. You know, it's what we try to do here, guys, especially for all you new guys. I'm not going to blow you any smoke, but I can find out the answers to these questions. So there, I'll find out, Ricochet. I'll let you know. All right, let's move around now to the south, and Avdiivka pretty much staying the same. We do have a new push here on Novomikhailivka. Now, why? Remember what I teach you guys. It's not military training. It's I'm there. My guys are there. So you notice Russia pushing. Those are the Johnny's red markers off of data. And you see the line of villages along the river bottom. That's it. All the way. And you, of course, as I've showed you, I'll change the color. I want to change the color. There. There's nothing out here but farmland. Nothing but farmland. Miles, miles, miles. Kilometers, kilometers, kilometers. And of course, these grounds are full of shells. They shell everything. Absolutely everything. In fact, many of the roads, when Zhenya and I are riding, and we're coming, especially, and I'll show you. Let me show you right now, because this is unbelievable stuff, actually. So when we run this front, and we'll stay in Kharkiv, and then when we move out, we decide which way we're going to go depending on the roads, the bridges, military information, and who we're traveling with. So we have went Zmiv, all of this, down through Izum to Slavyansk. We've went Chuyugiv, Pechny, Savitsky, pushing behind Kupiansk, all of these. Now, let me just tell you straight. People have asked me, in fact, you guys asked me the other night, how many pieces of equipment do I see destroyed and how many pieces of equipment are blocking the roads? So none are blocking the roads. They'll be off to the side, but pieces of equipment. So in this area right here, in the purple, conservatively, I've seen 100 tanks blown up. A majority are Russian, some are Ukrainian, destroyed, transport trucks, missile, multi-rocket launch systems destroyed. And what's interesting, like in this patch right here, I'm not joking, you guys, every field, every 25 feet, every 10 meters, 8 meters, black spots where it's shelled. They are systematically shelled in a grid fashion to destroy the earth. So if Russia, the invaders, cannot level buildings like they do in every place, Bakhmut, Izum, Avdiivka, doesn't matter, Severodonetsk, Lysychansk, all these places, they then destroy the dirt. Remember, Ukraine is an agricultural and natural resources, especially in these regions, and they are literally destroying the dirt. There's not a soul there. I'm talking fields that are massive, miles and miles long, just leveled. It looks like a chessboard or a checkerboard because they're systematically smoking them. So there's that. That's kind of interesting. And we're going to move around now just to the south because we've got one little problem here, guys. Remember, we need to hold on to Robitny. It's very important. This is our gateway to cutting off Crimea. This is Robitny right here. But this is a new movement from the Russian. They were right there. So they began to push here. We'll see what happens. We'll see. That's a cool name. Hello from South Holland Oblast, Mr. Willie Matglass. Welcome to you, sir. Here we go. Question in regard to Moldova, Transnistria region, Russian troops in Transnistria. How's Russians support their troops there? Okay, so I've been in all of those regions, as you know, Rick, many times. I've been in the Transnistria, Tiraspol, Kishinev, Moldova, all of those regions. How are they supporting them? First of all, there are 1,500 active military Russian soldiers in the Transnistria. 1,500 active. They do have equipment, not a lot, but they have the dirt, and they're not going to lose the dirt. How are they receiving? They're actually not receiving right now because it's already loaded. Everything they need has already been there for years and years and years. Now, it's not going to be the newest, not going to be the best, not going to be the greatest, but it's there. So they're not firing from there. They're not actively working from there unless they're pushing some drones from there that we don't know about, but they have everything they need. And there's no need for those guys to be supplied. They're just waiting. Now, let's go to here. So that's Bakhmut. Now, reality. So I've given you was the biggest storage of weapons in Europe? No. Moldova, Ronnie, or Ukraine? Ukraine was one of the largest storer of Soviet weapons in Europe, in the world, before they gave them up for the security of what we have now. Now, I've shown you the map tonight. We talked about Bakhmut. I showed you the movements there. Of course, we know Avdiivka. Fortunately, a little pushback on Robitny. Hopefully, we'll be able to deal with that. Kherson, once again, being demolished non-stop. 16 wounded from last night's shelling, including 4 little children. A educational complex, residential buildings, a business complex, a store, all smashed. Cars, it was a delivery place, smashed. 16 wounded. Fortunately, no one was killed, and we're very thinking about that. No, they're not living on Soviet-era rations. There's one thing about Moldova I want you guys to know, since you're asking the questions. Moldova, no problem with food. Some of the best food in the world. They have the most fertile land, just like Ukraine, and resources as far as feeding themselves. Moldova has no problem with food. They have a problem with corruption, and they have a problem with other economics because they are a landlocked nation, basically. And they have very little infrastructure there. But it's no problem on the food. No problem on the food. In fact, if you want to know what Moldova looks like, a lot of Moldova looks like Napa Valley. They grow massive amounts of grapes there and do a lot of wine exports. So that's Moldova. So they've got fresh wine and plenty of potatoes. All right. I think he's thinking storage and Transnistria. Oh, for sure. In fact, I can tell you guys one more thing, and I really want to get to the videos I'm going to show you, but this question's cool. Transnistria is, of course, loaded with stuff. In addition, there are road systems in Moldova that were built by the Soviet military that I have driven on with Zhenya. We got on those roads by mistake, and we were actually traveling out of Ukraine, and we were coming down into Moldova. Let me see if I can show you maybe. Let me do this. Yeah, I can go over here and show you. We were coming out of Khmelnytsky here. Let me do that. And I do a lot of work. I do a lot of work in Kishinev here. So no Moldova well. So we come out of Khmelnytsky. We cross at Mykolaiv-Podilsky, and we come down to Soroka, Beltsy, and then Orehe, and into Kishinev. Transnistria's right here. There is a road between Beltsy and Orechy, right there. And there's a parallel road. And unfortunately, driving in the middle of the night in the dark, we got on the wrong road. And we were just driving for miles and kilometers. And all of a sudden we said, you know what? Why are we seeing no cars? Like zero. And the road was perfect. There were no trees. It was perfectly smooth. It was straight as an arrow. And it was completely unlike typical Moldavian roads. Moldavsky Darogi, Moldovan roads. Trash, destroyed. But this road was perfect. We finally started to get a little nervous. We hopped off the road. We went down through a field, through a little dirt lane, ended up at a farm. We talked to this farmer and said, hey, man, of course, speaking Russian language, hey, we're lost. Like, we're going to Kishinev, but we're on a road right there that's, we don't think's right. And the farmer goes, get off that road. We said, well, where's the regular road? He goes, you got to go past it, go down a few kilometers, and you'll get back on the regular road. Get off that road. It's forbidden travel. That is an airstrip built by the Soviet Union, still maintained today by Russia. It is there. It is perfect. Folks, it's there right now, right on the edge of the Transnistria. Huge strip of road designed for military and air travel. So there, inside info tonight on Moldova. Now, reality. We're talking about the front lines, all of that. Zhenya sent me this video. He voiced it over. You're going to hear a little quick interview of the K2 Battalion Commander of the 54th, the Armed Forces of Ukraine. His name is Kirill Veteris. This is public info. This is no problem to share. It's out there. This guy's talking about the war. He's a commander. He's a phenomenal commander, and he's fighting for Ukraine every day. Here it is, and this is Zhenya's voice with the voiceover.
So at this moment, and yeah, I realize that we are in the middle of the war, but do we win or we losing? If we talk and take to this conversation all the areas like the media war and the battlefronts, we losing. Do you know any area we winning? I don't know those. I cannot say anything like this. We surviving. We acting and doing something not to win, but not to die. And it's a different things when we do something to win, or you do something to not to die or survive. When we talk about like our my unit. My unit is okay. I would wish to have the same situation to other units, but if we talk about the others and Ukraine at all, no, we're losing. And we had own plans, and we were dreaming about the summer being, getting back after the war, and being in the summer in Crimea. But you know what's going now everywhere on the streets, and yeah, it's tough.
So you have reality there. Now, do not misunderstand. He's not giving up, but he does tell the reality. It is very difficult right now on the front lines in Ukraine. And in a couple of weeks, I'll be heading there and I will show what I have permission to show and talk to soldiers. And I already have guys that want to talk to you. No problem. And we'll do it right. But do not take that the wrong way. And Zhenya goes, man, we need to show this, but make sure they understand this is one of our greatest commanders. He's just sharing the truth. And we're not giving up. We're not quitting. We're going to win the war. But right now, it's very difficult. And that is the truth, especially when you begin to look around the world, what's going on, the aid from the U.S., the chaos in the EU as well, sometimes with the aid. And Russia getting very brash and very bold in what they're doing. So we'll see. Now, let's see here. King Raccoon, thank you, sir. You buying fish, more bullets. Greg, please take. Oh, sorry. Please take some late Christmas candy sweets to children in Ukraine when you land, buddy. All right, King, listen to me. In fact, all of you guys, this is awesome. One of our viewers in here, you see their names occasionally. They may be watching right now live. Larry and Deborah Menninger. Menningers, if you're here, make sure to say you're here. They have worked in Ukraine for 30 years. 30. I'm 26. In fact, they're the ones that took me to Ukraine for the first time. Now, they have raised money through their organization, thousands of dollars, and we will actually be doing a Christmas program for orphaned and military children down on the front line. So guys, you will see that. I'll stream it. And last year we had about 150 kids. This year we're looking at 300. I can tell you this as well. 150 kids we did last January. It'll be 300. But, and don't worry, we've got all the security. There they are. Larry and Deborah are here. Right there. Yeah, there's their picture. They've worked in Ukraine for 30 years. So we're and for those of you military guys, don't worry. Don't worry. Everything's done with military, security, the whole 9 yards. Nobody will know where we're doing that. I promise you. The kids do not come on a bus. Everything's done securely because we're really close. But I can tell you, last year, we did the program. We were gone. A couple weeks later, the building we used was leveled by Russia. That's gone now. So we expect the same to happen, but they will never know where we're going to have these kids. Don't even worry about it. I promise you. So we will be safe, and it will be phenomenal. As always. So Larry and Deborah, you're getting some love in here tonight. So you guys make sure you're watching in January. You will see it happening. So King Raccoon, your stuff will go there to help them. And we'll also throw in LWD Farm. I'd like to add to King's Kindness. All right, you guys are supporting the kids' Christmas as well. Larry and Debbie, that should make you happy. More jumping in. I believe Ukraine offered to remove those Russians in Transnistria and Moldova declined. Yeah. So Moldova, guys, politically, it's on the borderline. They're trying to break out. But if you think Ukraine is having a challenge to break out of the Soviet system, well, I got news for you. Moldova, it's even worse. King Raccoon, money for fish. You got it. Fish is going to have plenty of 338 bullets to sling. I promise you guys, and you will see it. Now, before I move on, how about this tonight? We see everything happening on the front. You just heard the commander talking about it, but the soldiers do not give up. How about Christmas in Avdiivka?
Friends, that's all a beautiful Christmas tree.
Listen to the shelling.
I love Avdiivka. It should be this way. The celebration should also be in this place. And most importantly, for our boys.
I love Avdiivka. That shelling you were hearing there was outgoing. So, Ukraine. Okay, so when you watch videos and you analyze them, that came out last night actually, which could have been this morning actually, most likely this morning. They got a little Christmas tree. He says, this is Avdiivka. It should be Christmas. We should have celebrations. I love Avdiivka. And you hear the outgoing, right? Because that's the boo. The incoming is and the boo. That's good news. Ukraine letting them rip it. Sam Winters, what's up, stud? Thank you for that. Okay, so Sam, you're tagging on to Larry and Debbie and LWD and King Raccoon helping the kids. Thank you, buddy. That's my brother right there. Thank you, guys. The Brits will not let down Ukraine. I agree 100%, and I believe as well that the United States will not let down Ukraine as well. I believe that. I really do. Now, check this out, guys. This is a new batch of drones that are being manufactured. I'm going to tell you the story behind this. But here it is first. Here's it flying. Okay, so that's it. That's called the Cobra drone. You see it right here. You see the guy right there holding it. He's the developer of it. This is the beauty that I tell you of Ukraine. This is why Ukraine is going to win the war. He is a Ukrainian. He is from the city of Kryvyi Rih. That is the city that is the home of President Zelensky. We go to Kryvyi Rih all the time. I'll be streaming from Kryvyi Rih as well. These guys there developed this Cobra drone. Right now, they can produce 100 a month. They're going to be moving it to 500 a month, range of 300 kilometers. It can carry a payload of 15 kilograms. But here's the good thing. It cost $2,000 to produce. Not 10, not 5, not 20. 2. And production is now being ramped up. But this is actually where they've built the prototype and started manufacturing them. That is the people of Ukraine working together. It's just listen to this guy right here. Professor Gertis, it's just a matter of Congress working out the political process. 100% agree, 1,000,000% agree. The United States is not going to let down Ukraine. Neither is Great Britain, neither is Germany, neither are European nations. Unfortunately, we have to go through a political process by which, and I'm not going to really discuss this tonight, we would need Professor Gertis's expertise, but I know you guys around the world, we have a lot of international viewers here, have seen the news, where the Supreme Court in Colorado has taken Trump off the ballot, so he can't run. It'll go to the Supreme Court of the United States. Guys, that'll all be overturned. Now California's saying they're going to do it. The bottom line is we just have a real political chaos and a division in our country. But when it comes down to it, I believe in my country and I believe we're going to do the right thing. K Bell, thank you. 20, going to the Christmas Kids program. Thank you, sir. Larry and Debbie, your program's getting better and better and better. So the beauty of this picture here, guys, drones, Kryvyi Rih, citizens. Now, of course, he's got engineering background. Designed it, made it, and now they're moving into mass production. These guys are fighting for their lives in fighting for their country. So what do we say to that?
Slava Ukraini!
That's what we say to that. Now, President Zelensky did his end of the year talk. So it's the same thing. No, I need to rephrase that. It's not the same thing that Vladimir Putin did, okay? Because his is all set up. Zelensky's sitting in a room just sharing his heart. I'm going to share a couple of things he stated tonight in English. But in Eastern Europe, this is what you do. As a president, you sit down at the end of the year and you answer questions, and it's called the State of the Year. Now, for us in the U.S., our president does a similar thing. It's not sitting down with questions, but we do a State of the Union address in the early parts of our calendar year, not at the end of the year. So similar thing. Ours is more political. It's a joint session of Congress and the State of the Union. It's on all the television. This is a sit down. And President Zelensky here talking. But there was a couple of key things I need to share with you. First of all, mobilization of up to 500,000, between 450 and 500,000 will be approved. Ukraine is going to be mobilizing 500,000. I confirmed this today before I'm telling you, because it's talking out there. It's going to happen. Secondly, President Zelensky said, I will veto women being mobilized. 25-year-old, where we're discussing between 25 and 27, no problem. I'll go with that. He goes, but I just struggle supporting mobilizing women. So we'll see what unfolds, but the number there is 500,000. Second topic, in the top right, you see the Ukrainian flag in NATO. We've talked about this. You know, it goes back into the early days of our war where I said NATO, of course, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, actually no army to offer is another way to look at it. However, you know, we're thankful for what NATO does do, but President Zelensky, what age men? So let me explain that real quick. Are college kids exempt? So that's been the battle, because there were 25,000 college age young men that were using loopholes in the system to get around the mobilization. And Ukraine is stopping that. So now it used to be, well, it still is until it's finally approved. But it used to be, if you were entering into a master's program, a second tier of education, it could exempt you from conscription. That's now potentially going to be changing. So all of this stuff's being negotiated right now. We'll see. Ukraine and NATO, President Zelensky just goes ahead and tells it the way it is. Here you go. Don't listen to me. Listen to him.
We haven't been invited to NATO. And to be honest, talks of partial participation are delusional. Why? Because it isn't offensive to those who mention it. It's important they understand. For me, it's just something I hear about. We have never received such an offer, not even once from any of our partners.
Okay, so there's the truth. The potential of some type of halfway partnership with NATO is delusional. That is not Dmitry Kuleba, the foreign minister who's always at the NATO meetings. That is not a military representative. That's the president of the country. He said, even thinking about that, it's delusional. Not one partner has contacted me about joining NATO. That's the answer, guys. It's not happening. It's just like the EU. It's not happening. Nothing will change on the NATO front officially or the EU front until this war is over. That's a fact. Now, the last thing here is bottom left. My family. President Zelensky coming out and saying, leading by example. Leading by example. This is fantastic here.
Well, as for my children, my son goes to school, sometimes physically and other times online, just like everyone else. And of course, There are my other kids, and my daughter is attending university. I'm pleased that they are here, and I'm delighted that they're making their own choices and contributions just like everyone else. My family is in Ukraine, which is something important to me. While being here, I would like to take a moment to express my gratitude to all of you here. The country is alive. There are people on the streets and so much more. Thank you.
That, my friends, is a leader. Okay? His kids could be out of the country and safe. No. They go to school. They live in Kyiv. They're there with mom and dad, and it sets the example. You see, he couldn't lead by the greatest example in a war time if his family wasn't being the example. And there he tells it, and then he says, thank you. I saw there, Mark, completely agree, and let me tell you this. Women have just as much right to fight for their country as any man. 100% agree. And I can tell you that when I'm on the front, %20 female. They're everywhere fighting. That's my number, 20%, easily. Every 10 soldiers I see, 2 are girls, or two are females, 2 are ladies. And they are warriors. And women are fighting everywhere. They go and they volunteer. They go right to the conscription office. It's just that forced mobilization is what President Zelensky has a problem with for women. But we will see. We will see. All right. Now, guys, we're getting so close. I'm pumped. Do not listen to the propaganda. I confirmed this 1,000,000% tonight. Zelensky and Zelensky are okay. Do they see everything the same? No. But do they see the main things the same? Absolutely. Is Zelensky being fired? No. You are listening to Russian propaganda that is trying to destroy the relationships internally in Kyiv between the president and the supreme commander, between the president and the mayor of Kyiv, Klitschko. This is what's happening. 72% of Ukrainian people right now today support Valery Zelensky and Volodymyr Zelensky. Great number. Great number. And what I mean by that is that partnership for leading and defending their homeland. Do not listen. If you see this trash on Twitter, delete it. It's not the truth. It's the Russian propaganda. Yes, they can be in the military, but they're not to be conscripted. That's the difference. We here in the U.S. have no idea what it's like to live day by day in a war zone. You're right, brother. Nate Fody, thank you for your service. I know you are a Marine. Now, Zelensky made one more statement. I was not able to get the video on that one, but I know this is right. If Donald Trump is the next president of the United States, politics will change. Volodymyr Zelensky in the upcoming American elections. He was not being anti-Trump or trying to do something with the elections. He's just making a statement. He said, if his policy is very economical, it will greatly affect the course of the war in Ukraine, and the whole world can react to this. Definitely not positive for us. Exactly, Ricochet. It's just like the drama of the mayor in Kyiv. The bottom line is, and I'm going to validate one other thing that we've shared for, at least a year. Peter Pavel, the president of the Czech Republic, he made a new statement yesterday or the day before. The bottom line is the world is going through a major transition right now. It's not just the war in Ukraine. It's not just the war in the Middle East. It's not just the disruption in Africa. It's not just the 183 conflicts that are happening currently around the world. It's not just the EU. It's not just the Finn-Russian border, Great Britain. The world is in chaos right now due to lack of leadership globally, and it's affecting everything. So Zelensky just makes a statement of logic. Things are going to change, however it happens. But we see the potential that we could possibly lose support with that change. King Raccoon. You know what I'm going to do on that one? Okay, you ready for this, King? In fact, I'll show you this way. Here we go, guys. You can see it real time. All right. Photo. And now that photo, I just sent this photo. I can't see. To Zhenya. Thank you, sir. We're going to buy 3 drones now. Awesome. You guys are just awesome. Thank you. Yes, Mark McLaren, California looking at the same thing. We're chaotic here. All right. You know what? One of the drones we get, and we'll be streaming it, I'm just going to write Dabrobojalovit Moy Mir, King Raccoon. Okay? Dabrobojalovit Moy Mir, King Raccoon, on the drone. And what that says is, welcome to my world, King Raccoon. So we're going to do that. Thank you, sir. Nate Fody, thank you for the kiddos. Got it. Larry and Debbie, your project is growing. Tell him he is amazing. I will that, buddy. So last couple of things, and then get ready for the last few minutes of the live. Czech president predicts significant shift in the war in Ukraine in 2024. Ukrainska Pravda, Ukrainian Truth. This is Peter Pavel, guys. I really encourage you to go look this guy up. If you know nothing about Peter Pavel, just go read about his life, read about his service, and read about his thoughts. And it doesn't matter if you're right, left, middle, as long as you are a truth hunter. This man gives some truth, especially in regard to the war in Ukraine, events that unfold in the EU and globally. This is a good man and a good leader. And he says, listen, this shift here, he said, I'm not saying it's going to be positive for Russia and negative for Ukraine, or positive for Ukraine and negative for Russia. But I'm telling you, this guy was leader of NATO before becoming president of Czech Republic. He says it's going to change in 2024. How promptly the world responds will determine which way it shifts. It's spot on and it's brilliant. Okay. You know what I feel here? Polish PM, the new one, Donald Tusk, says, remember he came out as soon as he was elected and says, I'm fixing the border. I'm fixing it. What happened, Mr. Tusk? Polish PM says border blockade with Ukraine will be difficult to resolve because of predecessors. It's not because of the predecessors, okay? Not because of the predecessors. It's because the courts in Poland overruled what the government had set in place for the border to be opened. So that has nothing to do with predecessors unless the predecessors put those judges into place, because that's what happened. So it's not only judicially what's happening at the border, and right now about 2,300 trucks locked up at the border, about 1,100 made it through when things freed up. And right now we're blockaded until March. There is a blockade until March in place by the truckers union. So we'll see. But very interesting. The tune has changed a little bit. All right, guys, here we go. I am so excited. You know how excited I am? This excited. There you go. This is how excited I am. You got the Putin watch video. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I was sitting right here at this desk last night before I was going to bed, and I don't know why the thought came to me. I honestly don't know. But I'm sitting here. I mean, God is my witness. And I said, I was sitting at this angle at my desk, and the thought occurred to me, I need to look up Nikita Khrushchev. I need to look up Nikita Khrushchev. And I really didn't know why. I started Googling, and I went to YouTube, and I looked up Nikita Khrushchev. And the first video I found was Nikita Khrushchev speaking at the United Nations in 1959. I'm going to play that video for you. It's only about 90 seconds. And it's like a documentary from 59. But my goodness, guys, at the end of the video, I literally fell out of my chair. And I think you will too. 1959. Here you go.
The United Nations came right into the picture when Mr. Khrushchev visited New York. Seen here, arriving with an impressive escort, the Soviet premier had previously drawn world attention to this occasion. Having announced that he had an important proposal to make on the subject of disarmament, he was assured of a large and attentive audience. Well, I suppose he'd have had that anyway, but there's nothing like a bit of advance publicity. He got a good hand as he walked to the rostrum, and he gave a good hand back. It's an old Russian custom. His proposal created the sort of sensation you'd expect. Total disarmament over a period of 4 years. This was a proposal that called for close examination and study. He gave no details of the plan. Outside the building, the sort of protest that Mr. Khrushchev must certainly have expected were being paraded. Don't know whether he saw much of them, but they certainly spoke eloquently for those people who don't really care for Mr. K.
Did you see it? 1959. We're not talking about 1989, 1991, the fall of the Soviet Union and Ukraine becomes a nation. We're not talking about it's always been Russia and it's Novaya Rossiya in that southern eastern range. But in 1959, these posters, look, genocide, Khrushchev's Russian weapon against Ukraine. I'm telling you, I hit the floor. Another screenshot. God bless America. God free Ukraine. The two signs on the left are identical. Glory to the heroes. Glory to the heroic Ukrainian insurgent army fighters for liberty. You want to tell me, Vladimir Putin, that this just happened and it's historically your land? Right here, like this?
They also know well. They focused on the southeast. Why is that? Well, it's because these are historically Russian regions. People living there are Russian, essentially. Regardless of what their passport says, their only native language is Russian. Their entire culture, traditions, everything are Russian. These are our people. We have always placed an emphasis on this part of Ukraine. This has had significant internal political consequences. It did not allow extreme nationalists to gain real power through legal political means. The political forces have always been those.
You know, by that logic, I guess I'm actually a British subject because I speak English. And, you know, I guess I got it from the Queen's English, because if you speak English, you must be British. You understand? So look here. It continues. Red Russian atrocities in Ukraine defy description. Not even one of 4,000 Ukrainian Catholic churches left open by Red Russian invaders. The sign after that, you see part of it. Russians, get out of Ukraine. Guys, it's not 2014 in Maidan. It's not 2016 and the separatists. It's not the annexation of Crimea. This is 1959. Glory to the heroic Ukrainian insurgent army. So if you wonder where Slava Ukraina, glory to Ukraine, Geroyam Slava, glory to the heroes. It's been there a long time. This is reality. Now, all of you can get off of the floor as well because it was crazy. Yeah, exactly. The people of Quebec speak French. Many nations in Africa speak French. Let me pop this up here. Larry and Debbie, thanks to everyone for giving towards the war children Christmas party in Ukraine. And so have you. I think she fell asleep on the last sentence, but she says thank you. So thank you. Russia does this every generation. Now, yes, sir. Kay Bell, you're leading me into what we're going to close with tonight. I'll get that comment up there for you, Larry. The children have touched our hearts, and so have all of you who have given. That's awesome. They gave 30 years of their life in Ukraine. So beautiful. All right. This leads me to the final thing for tonight. How many of you know Yuri Bezmenov? Bezmenov, second syllable. Yuri Bezmenov. Are you ready? Yuri Bezmenov was a defector. He was a KGB spy, a master spy, born in, I think, 1939. He defected to the United States, and in 1984, okay, Nostradamus. Tonight, 2 videos that are unbelievable. And so I'm sitting here like this, and I go, I've got to look up Khrushchev. And I looked up Khrushchev. Okay, I have to do a video about your live stream tomorrow. This was too good not to share more widely.
Slava Ukraini!
Thank you, Dr. Gerardus. I appreciate that. Super chat, Larry and Debbie. We got more coming for the kids, man. This is awesome. Okay, so here's the homework. Larry and Debbie, you have 48 hours to make me a thank you video. Send it to me, and I will play it on the stream Friday night. We've picked up a lot of gifts to help with Ukraine. Professor Gertis, you're getting all kind of compliments in here. Professor, I watched your content today and was impressed. Salt of the earth. Thank you, Mr. and Ms. Menninger, for all you do for Ukraine. Man, what a great family here. This is just awesome. All right, guys, this leads me to Nostradamus right here. Yuri Bezmenov. I have no comments. Just listen. There are 4 stages of subversion. This is what he's going to share with you, and we'll close out. Subversion means to overthrow a government. or to overthrow a society or to overthrow a situation. The 4 stages are demoralization. In the Russian, it's demoralizatsiya. Destabilization in Russian, destabilizatsiya. Crisis, 3rd, which is krisis in Ruski, in Russian. And then normalization, which is normalizatsiya. Okay? That's it. You see Putler back there. You see the hammer and sickle. I'm going to stop talking because this guy's way better than me. Folks, I know we're going a little bit longer than an hour tonight, but you've got to give this man 6 minutes. Here you go.
Mr. Bezmenov was born in 1939 in a suburb of Moscow. He was the son of a high-ranking Soviet Army officer. He was educated in the elite schools inside the Soviet Union and became an expert in Indian culture and Indian languages. He had an outstanding career with Novosti, which was and still is, I should say, the press arm or the press agency of the Soviet Union. It turns out that this is also a front for the KGB. He escaped to the West in 1970 after becoming totally disgusted with the Soviet system, and he did this at great risk to his life. He certainly is one of the world's outstanding experts on the subject of Soviet propaganda and disinformation and active measures. Well, you spoke several times before about ideological subversion. That is a phrase that I'm afraid some Americans don't fully understand. When the Soviets use the phrase ideological subversion, what do they mean by it?
Ideological subversion is the slow process which we call either ideological subversion or active measures, активные мероприятия in the language of the KGB, or psychological warfare. What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in 4 basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate 1 generation of students in the country of your enemy, exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism, American patriotism. The demoralization process in the United States is basically completed already. For the last 25 years, actually it's overfulfilled, because demoralization now reaches such areas where previously not even Comrade Andropov and all his experts would even dream of such a tremendous success. Most of it is done by Americans to Americans, thanks to lack of moral standards. As I mentioned before, exposure to true information does not matter anymore. A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him. Even if I shower him with information, with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it until he is going to receive a kick in his fat bottom. When a military boot crashes his balls, then he will understand, but not before that. That's the tragic of the situation of demoralization. The next stage is destabilization. This time, subverter does not care about your ideas and the patterns of your consumption. Whether you eat junk food and get fat and flabby, it doesn't matter anymore. This time, and it takes only from 2 to 5 years to destabilize a nation, what matters is essentials: economy, foreign relations, defense systems. And you can see it quite clearly that in some areas, in such sensitive areas as defense and economy, the influence of Marxist-Leninist ideas in the United States is absolutely fantastic. I could never believe it 14 years ago when I landed in this part of the world, that the process will go that fast. The next stage, of course, is crisis. It may take only up to 6 weeks to bring a country to the verge of crisis. You can see it in Central America now. And after crisis, with a violent change of power, structure, and economy, you have so-called the period of normalization. It may last indefinitely. Normalization is a cynical expression borrowed from Soviet propaganda. When the Soviet tanks moved into Czechoslovakia in '68, Comrade Brezhnev said, "Now the situation in brotherly Czechoslovakia is normalized." This is what will happen in the United States if you allow all these schmucks to bring the country to crisis, to promise people all kind of goodies and the paradise on earth, to destabilize your economy, to eliminate the principle of free market competition, and to put a big brother government in Washington, D.C., with benevolent dictators like Walter Mondale, who will promise lots of things, never mind whether the promises are fulfillable or not. Your leftists in United States, all these professors and all these beautiful civil rights defenders, they are instrumental in the process of the subversion only to destabilize the nation. When their job is completed, they are not needed anymore. They know too much. Some of them, when they get disillusioned, when they see that Marxist-Leninists come to power, obviously they get offended. They think that they will come to power. That will never happen, of course. They will be lined up against the wall and shot. But they may turn into the most bitter enemies of Marxist-Leninists when they come to power. And that's what happened in Nicaragua. You remember most of these former Marxist-Leninists were either put to prison or one of them split, and now he's working against Sandinistas. It happened in Grenada when Maurice Bishop was already a Marxist. He was executed by a new Marxist who was more Marxist than this Marxist. Same happened in Afghanistan when first there was Taraki, he was killed by Amin, then Amin was killed by Babrak Karmal with the help of KGB. Same happened in Bangladesh when Mujibur Rahman, very pro-Soviet leftist, was assassinated by his own Marxist-Leninist military comrades. It's the same pattern everywhere. The time bomb is ticking with every second. The disaster.
So there you have it, guys. First time I've ever seen it. I don't know how I never discovered that in the past, but it's spot on. And just a couple of things and we'll get out of here. That was 1984, as you could tell by the Walter Mondale. Secondly, he was speaking to the United States, but I would now say forget that. That is speaking to the world. It's easy to see. Just think about these three things. We have an abundance of information, but not able to draw a logical conclusion. Spot on. And we're talking about the war in Ukraine here. He then said, we can take all of the docks, all the pics. I can take you by force, he said, to the concentration camps in the Soviet Union, and you still will not believe. I have told you guys so many times, I travel a lot, and people I've known for decades come up to me and say, Greg, we know that you're in Ukraine. We know that you go to the front lines. We know that you stream. We know that you speak the language. We know that you've got friends in the government. We know that you've got friends in the military. But on this one, you're wrong, because I saw it on Twitter. Zelensky is a criminal. I hear that all the time. It's exactly what he said. I could take them there and they would still say, no, this is not right. They're gone. They're absolutely gone. And then the last statement, he said the same thing that Vladimir Putin said regarding Ukraine. When the tanks rolled into Czech, the dictator said, we're here to take care of our brothers. We're now brothers. It is the exact same words that Vladimir Putin stated at the beginning of this phase of the war. Upon invading Ukraine, we're there to take care of our brothers. It's the same story. So, folks, that's where we're at. Speaking of Putin,
Our homeland has given each of us, myself included, the opportunity to work and be rewarded by our country, by our people. This is a reward from the people to all of us. We are all in this together, and I too am committed to protecting the interests of our country until the end.
that was his closing statement to those guys. He was giving them awards yesterday, and he had also met there. You saw Shoigu and Gerasimov. That was his statements. The story's the same. So, guys, I hope this was very refreshing for you. Let's see. King, please send that link to JP. Okay, I can do that. I've already sent it to Dr. Gerdes as well, and I will send it to JP. I'll send both of them, actually. He'll have a good time watching those in the morning. Guys, that's where we're at tonight. Huge night. We raised a lot of money for the kids program. We raised money for bullets. We raised money to buy another drone. This is awesome. So thank you. Thank you, guys. We appreciate all of you. Thank you for all that you're doing. Dr. Gerdes, if you're still in here, thank you for being active in the chat tonight. Much appreciated. You guys be blessed. We'll see you in 48 hours, if not before. Have a good night.
Slava Ukraini!